Welcome to Assembly Calendar. I'm Mike Friesen. With us for our program is Assemblyman Bob Oaks. Bob Oaks represents the 130th Assembly District in New York State, an Assembly District that includes the counties of Wayne, Cayuga, and Oswego. And we want to thank you folks all throughout that region for joining us for our program. Bob Oaks, lots to get caught up on. We're hearing more fallout or analysis of the state budget. We'll be getting to that in just a little bit, but I need an update from you right away on what's happening along the shores of Lake Ontario.
Well, since we've talked, Mike, Lake Ontario has hit its record level and has now surpassed that. And so over the last 100 years of recorded figures on that, we are at an area we've never been before. And so certainly the communities along Lake Ontario and its bays and inlets, which are impacted by that water, are certainly being impacted here, and it's a combination of things. Erosion issues because the lake's up so high and just taking land away that was there, that it isn't now, and some homes that are closer to the lake have been impacted by that. Low-lying communities like Sodas Point that I represent have more homes that are closer to the water that are impacted right now. But this is different than, we've had hurricanes and other things that have impacted New York State and our country over the last number of years. This is different because instead of an event taking place and then you figuring out how are we going to respond to that, what are we going to do as follow-up, this is an event that we can see coming at us, but it's slow and it's day after day. The lake has risen not like this, it's risen just a little bit at a time. And now we're in this territory. We don't know if it's going higher. There are some projections that say it could go another half a foot. If that happens, then so much more property is at risk. So you have a combination of erosion and just taking land away. You have homes and businesses being flooded. And you also have the public infrastructure of sewer, public water, and other things that may be impacted, plants that can't handle the amount of water coming into them, and also pipes being exposed now that had been buried in the ground. And so all of those things are taking place. You have people who are uncertain, does their insurance cover them, doesn't it? And so what is the response to that? And I think as government, again, we don't know what the full extent is of this. We have a lot of people who've suffered definite damage and are struggling day to day. We also we're a storm away from signific't additional damage.
Sounds like a catastrophe.
Right.
It could be.
Exactly. So I can't tell you today, what's the status? The status is we're trying to deal with it. We're waiting. But as legislators, we've tried to figure out what can we do. And so there have been a number of issues. One, just talking to people and trying to find out what are their concerns and whatever. So from communities like Pulteneyville to Sodas Point to Fairhaven and individuals along the lake, I've talked with them, visited their communities. We've had state officials come out. So we've seen things. We've also seen some creative things. For instance, in Sodas Point, they have grates that feed some of the water out to the bay in normal times. In this time, with the bay higher, those grates are actually adding to the flooding at the lower levels because they're bringing waters in. Scuba divers went in, plugged the grates. All of a sudden, relief to some of those areas. Now, that's not every home, but that's just some of the types of things. Never been done before. Somebody thought of it. And so those have been types of things. The other thing is in the recent state budget, there was emergency dollars for public infrastructure that could be spent. Those monies wouldn't be available until 4 months or 120 days after the budget was passed. We're doing some legislation that would free those dollars up now. So if a community was affected, had additional costs, they could get some of those resources to help them, because a lot of these are small communities, low budgets, help them respond. So that's one thing. Another thing we have actually dueling proposals to appoint one in the Senate that is a $55 million program to help businesses, homeowners, communities, and one in the Assembly that's actually $105 million, some for communities, some for businesses and homeowners, and also some for long-range mitigation or protection things, should we have something like this happen again. And so those are a combination of things happening. Assemblyman Barkley and myself have also been working on some legislation which would, just for this year, provide some assessment relief. If your house falls into the Lake Ontario, and that's not a laughing matter because we've had one or two go, and we have some others, a guy who's tearing down his house this week because it's at that point. You pay your taxes based on the taxable status date of March 1st. Whatever's on that property on March 1st is what you're taxed for the following year. There was something done in Superstorm Sandy just for that 1 year to help some of those individuals have some assessment relief that the state would, in essence, backfill for the local school district or the municipality, so that if you had a 25% loss of your house because you were totally flooded and whatever, and today its value isn't what it was at that taxable status date, you could receive some relief for a portion of your taxes just for that 1 year. As of next March 1st, whatever's happened, if you've gotten it fixed, there aren't the problems, or if you've had to destroy your house or whatever, you'd be taxed at the regular way you would, but it would just provide some relief in this year. Or some businesses that we've seen totally underwater. If you're a marina with your docks all underwater and you can't put any boats in, you're not going to be making money this year. So those are some of the things that we're looking at of trying to make a difference.
Is there any effort to pinpointing the cause of the problem, that change by the International Commission that oversees Lake Ontario and its shores, to change back or change in another direction those decisions that brought this situation to be what it is today?
Well, certainly we've had a ton of rain this spring, and that's added to it, and the upper Great Lakes are high. But certainly the plan that you mentioned, Plan 2014, is a control plan that changed from what it had been for the last 50 years to allowing higher highs in the lake, and other years perhaps lower lows. And so we were concerned of doing that, you're going to have economic impact. And now flooding of Lake Ontario flooded in 52, 73, 93, 2017. You can see kind of the nature of the cyclicalness of this. About every 20, 22, 25 years, you're seeing that something like this is going to happen, but never has it hit this level. But Plan 2014, what it does is the mitigation, trying to help, if you can let more water out and whatever, it says, well, high water isn't that bad of a thing. When we objected to Plan 2014, we said, what you're allowing is going to cause damage. And now who knew the first year that the plan came in that we were going to get this type of flooding? But I think it points out directly why Plan 2014 is a bad idea. And to your point, we need to make efforts now, use this disaster as effort of explaining we need to reject that now. Now it's a by nation, that's Canada and the US, but I think with Trump in as president, with taking a different look at this, we have people maybe willing to say, even in Canada, maybe this wasn't such a good idea.
All right, on to the fallout that I mentioned earlier on in the program from the passage of the New York State budget. The review continues, the analysis, the impact that this budget's going to have on the fiscal health of New York State. The latest county heard from is the state controller, who has weighed in and says, you know, he's got some concerns about what this budget means. You're the ranking Republican on the Assembly's Ways and Means Committee. What's your thoughts on what the controller's saying as it pertains to the budget that was just passed by this legislature?
Well, when we were debating the budget, and we got it short time frame, number of days late, but after we've been here for 13 days, and as I question the chairman of Ways and Means about issues like how much are we borrowing in this budget, how much are the state operations part of this, or state funds part of this budget increasing and whatever, I got information back. I believe that the chairman was giving me his best estimate at that point, but with the comptroller just weighing in, what he said was, main concerns I had, we are borrowing at a level much above what the other parts of the budget are rising. So we're depending more on borrowed money to make the budget come together than we are the actual resources from year to year. That's not good in a long-term basis for New York State if we owe more dollars.
That would be like encouraging people to go out and use their credit cards to pay for their monthly bills.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then also the governor's had a self-imposed 2% state funds cap. So what we're spending with state money, I don't want to go above 2%. He's been pretty true to that. And actually, it's been one of the reasons we haven't been in fiscal crisis year after year like we were before the governor came in. But what this budget is showing, what the comptroller's analysis is showing, he's done it, but he's hit his, met that cap, but he's done it by shifting dollars that were state funds into other parts of the budget, in essence making it off budget. He's done a number of other gimmicks that would suggest we are spending in state funds within 2%. The reality is, if you lumped it and analyzed it the way before, we've blown above that cap. That is problematic for the state. It puts us in, are we going to be able to make our fiscal responsibilities? And then the dollars coming in are coming in slower than what the budget projects. And so we could be looking at, as we're moving into 2018, with significant challenges for New York State in meeting all of our commitments that we have said we're going to within this budget. And so it could be a real problem for New York State. I think a lot of the comptroller's analysis is a projection as well, but he has the ability to look at it much closer, and so it could be a significant problem.
The chickens may come home to roost, is what you're kind of what you're saying.
Yeah.
Fiscal gimmickry not unheard of in New York State in the preparation of a budget. You were here when Mario Cuomo was governor. He kind of did some of the same things, right? I mean, fiscally, selling some prisons from the state to and putting everything, bonding it out long term in order to refigure the books, right?
One of the pressures on governors is as they get closer to re-election, they like to give a lot of money away and make people feel good that they're responding to their needs and whatever. One of the problems with that is somebody has to pay for that. And I think Andrew Cuomo is now pushing that part of his agenda is taking over from what his fiscal responsibility agenda has been.
And I think we all know that the people paying for all that is us, the taxpayers of New York State.
Absolutely.
If you folks watching want to know how to reach out to your representative, I think you folks already know how to do that. But you can reach out to Bob Oaks at his office in Lyons in the 315 area code 946-5166. You can find him on Facebook or email at oaksr@nyassembly.gov. oaksr@nyassembly.gov. Bob Oaks, thanks for joining us.
Thank you, Mike.
Always a pleasure, and we thank you folks, too, for spending your time. We'll hope to see you soon for our next edition of Assembly Calendar.